Do you believe in love at first sight? I know that's a good way to start.
Are you filming that entire conversation?
Yes, correct.
Oh.
Yeah. Do you believe in love at first sight? I'm going to give you my impression. You can believe whatever you want to believe, but if you want an expert's opinion, like, listen.
Like me.
I'm going to keep it in.
Did you fall in love already?
What, with me?
Yeah.
If you want an expert's opinion.
Take a look.
Yeah, take a look. So personally, love at first sight is something that I think a lot of people get confused with, because love at first sight is, you know what, it can happen, but what actually happens and what we get confused with is attraction at first sight, because love is probably based off a few more things than just initial attraction. And this whole idea of love at first sight has really been extrapolated, and then we've been conditioned. We watch things like Disney and we see that the princess lives happily ever after because they saw each other. But the truth is, we never actually see what happens after the movie. So I want to give to you the attraction pyramid. This is the pyramid of relationships. And this is something that is actually based off science, that is actually based off a lot of research and a lot of investigation from someone other than myself. But I'm going to give you this, and I want to extrapolate it in a way that really just makes it make sense. So at the bottom of the pyramid, we have the idea of that initial spark or attraction. Now, what I actually refer to this as arousal, because arousal creates attraction. Arousal is not just something that means, like, you know, guy sees you and he's Mr. Happy, goes Mr. Happy. What I mean by arousal is it's an excitement, it's energy, it's movement. People can be emotionally aroused, people can be sexually aroused, people can be intellectually aroused. And that energy can often transfer from one thing to another. Now, if we look at arousal, we can break it down into two elements. The first element is status, and the second element is health. Now, status is one of those things that, you know, a lot of people, when I say status, it makes sense, because status is one of those things that it's like, you know, can you look after that person? Do you have a social standing where that person can actually survive and thrive, where you can connect together? Now, to look at status in that way is very superficial, so let's get rid of that version of it, and I want to give you the real status that you can control now, and that is your inner status. That is your sense of confidence. That is your view of the world. That is your ability to assert yourself. That is your ability to understand and have empathy without thinking that you're going to lose yourself to that other person. That is status. And that's why often people say, you know, confidence is attractive. Because at a deep level, confidence is attractive. Because if you have the confidence to assert yourself, you actually have the confidence to say, hey, I have a personal status. And you know what? If you like me, that's okay. And if you don't like me, then that's okay too. Now, on the other end of the bottom half of the pyramid, we actually have health. As a random aside, when it comes to health, when we were coaching guys, one of the first things we'd tell them was, well, do you smell good? Because if you don't smell good, that all of a sudden your actual sense of arousal, that actual sense of things that can people be attracted to gets covered up by body odor. But arousal by health is actually one of those things that just, it makes a lot of sense. It's almost like the biology channel. You know, you go to a bar and you almost, if you look at it in a very objective way, it's almost like you're looking at the Discovery Channel. But it's just the things about you that you might find attractive, or other people might find attractive about you. That might be your eyes, that might be your skin color, that might be your hair. A lot of people are too afraid to admit that things like your appearance are attractive. That it's true, because it can be a representation of who you are, and that can be hard to admit. But also, it comes down to, if you look at it at a very deep level, it comes down to, and this is arousal in a nutshell, at a biological level, not an emotional level, because there is a logic to emotion and there's a logic to emotional arousal. But at a biological level, what happens is that we want to procreate and copulate and all of the eights with someone. I was going to say masticate, we don't want to eat the person. And all the eights with someone who's potentially going to help our hypothetical kid survive. And that's why health is really important. And if you look at it, that's why you often see either brother-sister couples, like couples that look the same, because at a deep level, they have very similar biology, Or you'll often have couples that look the exact opposite. You know, you'll often be with someone who actually looks quite extremely different. And you know, I'll say this as a very personal example. And mum, if you're watching this, hi mum. A while ago, I was actually dating someone, I'm gonna say like a couple of years ago, and she actually got off on the fact that I was brown. I was darker than her because she was quite white. And she would actually say, you're very ethnic. She was excited by this. And I made a mental note of that, being like, wow, she's actually aroused by the fact that I'm extremely different. Because then that gives the potential for potential kids that have a better immune system, because there's more genes to draw from. Now, the next level after that, because you can have that, and that could be a one-night stand, it's not going to really get you anywhere. The next level after that is the emotional connection. Now, this is where emotional arousal comes through, and I might make an entire video on this because it is such an in-depth topic that just talking about this in a thing it's too hard to discuss. But at a deep level, let's just call it, if you want a quick idea about it, let's just call it emotional foreplay. Generally speaking, guys need a lot more emotional foreplay than girls if they want to get into more of a deeper connection. So think about it this way. How do you think about sexual foreplay? You know, often maybe things slow make things better. Maybe sometimes things fast make it better. Sometimes the anticipation makes it better. Sometimes knowing someone cares about you makes it better. Someone feeling and you sensing you and sensing your presence, that can make it better. If you apply all these to an emotional connection, so how you get to know someone, that is emotional foreplay, and that's how you arouse them emotionally. Now, at a deep top of the pyramid level, if you want the best relationship you can possibly have, there is an element of logic. And I often say this quite a lot, especially if you follow me on Facebook, that the best relationships are based off logic. Because often you'll find people that get really excited when they meet someone. They're like, oh my God, I met this person. We can do this together. We can do this together. It's going to be amazing. We can do this together, because you have similar values. You have similar conflict resolution styles. You have similar communication styles. You have similar ways of being. And that's where the logic comes in, because it makes logical sense that you're together. But if you don't have this logic in place, if your lives are just too different and you can't find a way to connect it, maybe it was just someone that you could learn from. Because there's the idea that sometimes people are in our life for a reason, a season, or they're in our lives for a lifetime. So it is a common myth that a relationship has to last a lifetime to be worth something. And if you get rid of that myth, if you get rid of that preconditioned idea that it's happily ever after, you can appreciate and learn from every relationship for what it is. And if it does last a lifetime, then it's even better. All right, thanks so much for watching. Make sure to like it, because if you like this, then I like you. And make sure to subscribe, because if you don't, I'll be really upset. All right, thank you so much. Mwah.